Welcome back to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. You search Locked On Sports Atlanta. We got to get to the Falcons and reaction from preseason game number 1. But first, time for a shovel of wisdom.
Brace yourselves, because it's time for the shovel of wisdom.
That's right. You know how we do it every day. We like to set somebody straight, whack them straight upside the head with a shovel of wisdom. You can do so on my Twitter account at Zinno, MarkZinno. Use the hashtag shovel of wisdom. And today my shovel goes to Martha Zeller. You might not know who Martha Zeller or Zoller. I'm not sure how you say it, but Martha Zoller. And I was flipping through channels yesterday morning and came across the Georgia Gang. If you're not familiar with this, is like a political talk show and everything else. And I happened to turn it on and just started listening. And they had come across the idea of legalizing gambling and sports gambling. And the first words out of Martha Zoller's mouth, and by the way, Martha Zoller apparently works for WDUN, which is a radio station and Georgia's most read news website, at least according to the Twitter account for WDUN, where North Georgia comes for news. I guess it's North Georgia anyway. But Martha Zoller had turned around and said, very simply, that, well, legalizing gambling opens the door for organized crime. Yeah. Explain to me. See, this is what bothers me. And you guys know I'm a huge proponent, the biggest proponent probably in this state of legalizing gambling and sports gambling. That said, you can't make that statement without backing it up with actual facts. Who is doing the organized crime? Name the family. Name the people. What other rings are they operating in? Because if there was an organized crime family here, we would know about it already. They'd be well known. That's how organized crime works. They don't hide in the shadows. They're pretty out there, right? I mean, so just saying there's organized crime. We're not talking about gangs. And, oh, by the way, we know all the gangs. We know their names. We know the people who are in them. We know what they do. We know where they live. We know all those things, right? And it's a constant back and forth with authorities. We're not talking about gangs. Organized crime is something different than a gang. And Martha needs to learn, like, you know, one, if you're going to be a political commentator and you're going to throw stuff out there, make sure you can back it up. But two, as a matter of fact, illegal gambling is what promotes organized crime, not legalized gambling. Legalized gambling, especially in 2022, it's tracked, it's audited. There's feelers all over it. Now, I'm not saying organized crime, if it existed here in Georgia, wouldn't try to perpetrate any sort of sports gambling or gambling area. Of course they would. That's what organized crime does. That's kind of the cost of doing business. Just like, you know, there are white-collar crimes and people trying to evade taxes and everything else. It happens all the time. Doesn't mean you don't do business. But it's just a lazy, old narrative that drives me absolutely insane. There is literally not a single organized crime family I know of operating here in Georgia. And I've done the research. So when you say organized crime, I say name the family. Who are they? Where do they operate? What do they do? Tell me. Because if you can't tell me, then guess what? You're just making it up and using an old talking point that isn't really relevant. So shovel to you. All right, before we get to the Falcons and reaction here, word from our friends at Coffee AM, the best small batch roaster in America right here in Georgia, because coffee never tasted so good. Guys, Coffee AM is amazing. I have it every morning. You get coffees from around the world. And these things, if you love the taste of coffee, this is where you go, because some of their coffees that they get a hold of from different countries you haven't heard of, just so flavorful, so fresh, because they roast them and ship them on the same day, if not close to it. Specialty grade coffees, current crop, organic, fair trade, direct trade from around the world. As I said before, some of the best coffee you'll ever have. Flavored coffees, teas, gift sets, the whole nine. And again, roasted right here in your backyard. Go to coffeeam.com/locked on today. Take a look at their full line of menus, full line of coffees, teas, and gift set. Their full menu of those as well. That's coffeeam.com/locked on. Use the promo code locked on at checkout to get 15% off your order of coffees, teas, and gift sets. Your first order of coffees, teas, and gift sets at coffeeam.com. Coffee AM, the best small batch coffee roaster in America. Okay, so the Atlanta Falcons had their game against the Lions, and there were two major takeaways that I had. And I told you guys all last week that I wasn't going to do what do you expect to see in the preseason game? Like that lazy little deal that sports hosts like to do. I looked for nothing in this game other than people don't get hurt. And that came true for the most part. Drake London got a little nicked up. Looks like he's not going to play in this upcoming game against the Jets. They'll hold him out, but we'll see. Two things that stood out to me, both from the quarterback position. One, Marcus Mariota took off and ran a lot. Now, we haven't seen quarterbacks take off and run here in Atlanta for quite some time. We've seen quarterbacks take off and survive. There's a big difference. The survival part is the, Matt Ryan running for his life, so to speak. So from that standpoint, this is a new thing for us here in Atlanta. But Marcus Mariota taking off and running, guys, is not the best solution for the Falcons to win football games. Ask yourself objectively, who's the best playmaker on offense? It ain't Marcus Mariota. And at this point, I would argue, without even playing a snap in the NFL, after Kyle Pitts being the best playmaker on this team, Drake London might be the second best playmaker on this team. You know what your quarterback can't do if he pulls the ball down and runs? Put the ball in the hands of his best playmakers. So don't do that. I get it. Like, it's nice to have a quarterback who, on 3rd and 5, can scramble for 6 yards and get a first down. But that's not going to put you up a lot of points. Again, go back to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson in his MVP year threw for 36 touchdowns. Only ran for 7. In the following year, he threw for 26 touchdowns. Only ran for 7. Right? Like, you got to throw the ball. You have to be able to pass the ball on a routine basis if you're a quarterback. If you can't pass the ball with some level of consistency, then guess what? You are going to struggle. And you're going to struggle to score points, and you're going to struggle to be effective. And the bottom line is that Marcus Mariota has to figure out a way to get the ball, as I've said repeatedly, to Kyle Pitts and to Drake London and the guys who can make plays. What he is doing, at least we saw in the first preseason game, is a lot what I would have expected from a rookie like Desmond Ridder, which is exactly what Ridder did. Pull the ball down and run. Why do rookies do that? I mean, and I saw Ridder do it several times. As soon as he got to the top of his drop, he was like, oh, okay, I'm out of here. Didn't see the first read there, take off and run. Those are rookie mistakes. Those are things that you can't do as a rookie. Like, you have to get through your progressions. You have to learn how to read a defense. You have to learn how to move yourself in the pocket before you just pull the ball down and run. But rookies do that more often because they're survivalists. Hey, guess what? I can control the play with my legs. I know I won't make a mistake. And chances are I feel pretty confident I'm going to make this play a net positive. Okay, glad you feel that way. But again, that's not an offense that's going to be able to score a lot of points. It's great to have, and I'm not saying it's not, but they need to be able to throw the ball. I don't think we saw enough of that with any efficiency. And again, I think, like, I remember looking up in the fourth quarter, and Ridder was like 8 for 20, like 90 yards. Like, the numbers were pathetically bad. And again, I'm not banging on him because he is a rookie and he's still got a ways to go. But overall, for those of you who put a lot of stock in the preseason, which I don't, these are just sort of mere observations that are way open to being changed at any point in time until we start seeing real games. But this is a spot where, hey, I want to see them be able to throw the ball more. This is what made Arthur Smith effective in Tennessee, was their ability to throw the ball and get the ball in the hands of their best playmakers. All right, we're going to talk a little bit more about this with Aaron Freeman of Locked On Falcons. That's coming up next. Deep dive as we get set for preseason game number 2 coming up against the Jets right here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. It's A to Z, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Search Locked On Sports Atlanta.